would like to call the October 25th, 2023 regular board meeting of Fenton Community High School District 100 Board to order. May I have a roll call?
Figueroa?
Here.
Goodrich?
Here.
Haid? Here. Kovac?
Present.
Lewis?
Here.
Radzinski? Here. And Rago?
Here.
We have a quorum. Please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
James, please read our Fenton mission, beliefs, and Bison Way statements.
Fenton mission statement is to cultivate successful, passionate, empowered learners through rigor, relevance, and relationships. Fenton belief statements: successful, passionate, empowered learners thrive when we provide a safe, caring, and welcoming environment. Diversity, equity, inclusion unify our community. School and home collaborate as one. We champion innovative teaching and engaged learning with state-of-the-art facilities. We infuse social emotional learning into academics and culture. We prepare students to fulfill their civic responsibility. We immerse students in authentic life experiences. The Bison Way: students and adults at Fenton High School create a safe, caring, empathetic environment where we believe in each other, respect diversity, communicate openly, grow together, and hold each other to high expectations to become the leaders and innovators of the future.
Karen, do we have any public comments tonight?
Yes, we do. We have one.
As a
Bob
reminder,
Benson.
public comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker with a limit this evening of 30 minutes total. As a reminder, it is recommended to address staff members and students by title and not by name to protect their privacy.
So do I get all 30 minutes then? I'm kidding. I'm sorry. So my name is Bob Benson. I'm a resident of Bensonville since 1976. I'm retired. Unlike the consultant, I look at things from a different perspective, so maybe a little different. And like the Fenton building, I'm from the 50s, so you can figure out my age. I want to express my concerns from the financial sustainability of Fenton High School. Again, this is from my perspective. The very generous pay raise of 4.9% to base pay of the teachers as a taxpayer is troubling to me. From reading the contract, the first year increase is actually 6%, which I think was mentioned in the previous session. And the second year is 5.75%. Reading the contract, again, I spent most of my time in business. I was in sales. It was quite enlightening. I obviously was underpaid and undercompensated. I have no qualms with the teachers. If there's teachers here, I have no qualms with you. I would want everything that you're getting plus. But as a taxpayer, paying this is significant. According to the Illinois report card that's on your website, the 2021-2022, the average salary for teachers at Fenton is $109,000, which is 50% higher, hopefully I did the math correctly, than the salary of the average in the state. And I do have a link, and I can provide somebody with the information via email. I'm sure you've got it. Since I'm retired and my source of income is Social Security, that's it. I did additional research to contrast income of the citizens of the community. I did not do the business aspect. The average Bensonville household income is $68,500. Oh, by the way, that's household. The average Wooddale household income is $80,000. Again, I provided a link. It's didn't come out, but it's U.S. Census Bureau quick facts, and it's from a previous year. It's the latest that they had available. Currently, there is construction underway to address the flooding which is being paid by the surplus dollars, along with proposed plan of the two-story STEM expansion, discussed in June of 2023, and I think it was mentioned again today. Hopefully, my perspective is, again, from a taxpayer on fixed income. I'm probably in the area of what the Bensenville household is, but hopefully the Fenton School Board administration and teachers will help control costs in this inflationary environment, which hopefully will be what the previous person that discussed this on a consultant basis gave. But again, they also said that it was a temporary situation, the inflation, and these people are all doctorates in the economics. So I'm hoping that you'll trying to work with government at the state and federal level, as well as maybe working with business to try to offset some of this information from the taxpayers. And for me, a 5% cap is kind of expensive. I mean, that's 5% on top every year, it seems like. So I just wanted to express my concerns. Again, no offense to the teachers. If I were the teachers, I'd want as much just to cover it. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Recognitions? Sam?
Good evening. Tonight we're going to honor 4 outstanding students. If you'd like to start working your way forward. As you can see on the slide there, tonight we're going to recognize from the College Board, which typically does SAT, PSAT, and advanced placement exams, a special award. As part of their equity initiative, they create a national recognition program for students from underrepresented populations. These are highly respected honors and should bode well for them in the future as far as going to college and or receiving scholarships through applications. This is compared to high school students across the whole country where their scores are within a certain range on the standardized tests or AP scores, a GPA of 3.5 or higher, and also they wrote an essay. That was part of the process. So this year, as we can see, we're going to recognize 4 individuals. First, and then you'll speak when I'm finished, but Alejandro Aguilar Carrera. David Severiano. Samantha Sanchez. So their recognition was the National Hispanic Recognition Award. And finally, we have Caden Lewis, selected for the National African American Recognition Award. So tonight, we want to honor their hard work and dedication over the past 4 years. So right now, I'd like to open the mic to these fine students. Don't take a step. Okay, here we go. Here's the first one.
I would like to thank all our families and teachers that made this possible. We could not have gone this far without their support, both emotionally and financially. Without them, we wouldn't have made it as far as possible as we did. And I would just like to thank them. So thank you.
All right, we're all set. Let's bring it forward this way. And parents, if you'd like to join in the photo, we'd like to honor you tonight.
Is it one? Is it no?
It's wired. You do that?
All right, last one for me.
Can you do one more?
Sure. Okay.
The official picture.
Oh, okay. You got film in there? Congratulations. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yours next.
Come back tomorrow, one of them.
Our next item is informational items. James?
I have one more recognition, Mr. President. Next slide, please, Jim. There we go. Yes, yes, yes. Our next recognition is Mr. Leonel Figueroa, Secretary, Board of Education of Fenton Community High School District 100. Leo has been recognized by the Illinois Association of School Boards for his participation in a number of professional development and leadership activities during his service as current school board member. IASB, which stands for Illinois Association of School Board, recognizes Leo as a board member who continually shows dedication and desire to learn leadership skills and gain knowledge of state and national educational issues. Leo is constantly showing his commitment in serving the Fenton community, our students, our parents, our staff, and our community members. He is committed to NEDSEC, DEI, facility initiatives, Kermes, Fenton Foundation, Padres Unidos, board training, and all of the IASB events. It goes without saying that Leo is a recognized leader in our community. Because of Leo's ongoing commitment, he has earned the designation of IASB as Established Board Leader. It is IASB and Fenn's honor to present this award to our very own Mr. Leo Figueroa.
You have to have a picture.
You gotta take a picture first.
Hey, great.
Is this a Leo picture or everybody picture?
This is an everybody.
Everybody. All right.
Come on, Ricky. They said one. Control Alt Delete.
All right, here we go. Smile a little bit.
Thank you. Right.
I'm not gonna stand down there. I'm just gonna say thank you guys because everything is because of you. We are working as a team, and as a team member, I feel grateful. I feel supported, and I'm gonna say thank you to my wife because she is always behind me. And I believe I can share a little bit. When I tried to get into the Board of Education, I was appointed, and I was playing alone, and I see the opening, and I have nothing to do, and I said, can I apply? She goes, if you do it, I drop it tomorrow. And here I am. Thank you, Columba.
Thank you. I think we got a video of Leo here.
A established board leaders to please stand so we can congratulate you on your achievement. All established board leaders, can you please stand?
This event took place October 3rd, and Leo was recognized as a distinct board member at Illinois DuPage School Board Association. Okay, Mr. President, we'll go ahead with informational items. I have Kate Ward to discuss a couple of items on our agenda. The first three: new course, current course revision, updated course guide. Kate?
All right, yeah. It's an exciting time of year where we update our curriculum guide and we have some exciting courses to talk about. So just as a refresher, our new course proposal process. When someone has the idea for a new course, be it a teacher, be it a department, or be it an administrator, you're identifying an area of need or something, an offering that our students need that we don't currently have. So teachers and departments work with their division leader to go through this process. There's a period of research and development. For most courses, it's about a year, where sometimes you're meeting with other schools to see what are the programs that they have. Sometimes one of the pieces that we're adding in is getting student input. So when there's a new course, we want student voice in there to say, like, what would they like to see in a course? So gathering that in a couple different ways. The formal proposal comes together in September, and it's presented to two different administrative bodies within the school. So one is ILT, which is Sam and the division leaders. The other one is ILT Plus, which is Sam, the division leaders, and our teacher leaders. So those two bodies are able to ask questions about the new course, kind of vet that a little bit, and then when the courses make it past those two bodies, we present it to the Board of Education. Traditionally, we've done this in November, but we've been working with counseling and our student services to move that up a little bit, and that's going to give kids even more time to get to know these courses before they register in December. So that's why we're pushing it up a little bit early, which is exciting. Okay, so we have really 5 new courses for the 24-25 school year. Computer science, high five choir, Latino studies in Spanish, and then our accelerated suite of math 1, 2, and 3. So we're lucky enough tonight to have some teachers here to tell you about the courses that they are presenting and designing. They're really passionate about it, so I'm excited for you to hear from them. Our first one is we're gonna hear from DJ Carroll, and he's gonna tell you about computer science discoveries.
Applause before I started speaking. All right. All right. I'm DJ Carroll. I'm a math and computer science teacher here. This is my second year at Fenton, and I was hired to be a great teacher and also to help create an awesome, robust computer science program for the students here. So CS Discoveries is a course that we need at this school. If we can we advance one slide here? So these are potentially the 4 courses that we could have here in computer science at Fenton next year. And CS Discoveries is all the way on the left, and this would progress from left to right, freshmen through seniors. But last year, all we had were the 2 courses on the left. So we had 2 AP Computer Science courses, AP Computer Science Principles and AP Computer Science A. And they're fantastic, amazing courses, but they're also extremely rigorous. They're college-level courses, and they're inaccessible by some of our students. This year, we went ahead and we introduced Intro and Advanced Coding, which is a lower-level course, but it's still very rigorous. It's for students who are, interested in pursuing STEM fields, CS, any things of that nature. But we're still missing a course that's really open to everybody, regardless of what you're planning on going into. We all know how important computer science is in this day and age. It touches every aspect of our lives. You take these computer science courses, I believe the count now is they count towards 134 different majors at the college level. But even if you're not anticipating going to college, just knowing how computers work, how to program, how to manipulate things. It's a huge advantage for anybody. But anyways, so these 3 courses on the right, again, they're a little bit, they're all rigorous courses, and they're all really awesome, fun courses. But we wanted to bring a course that was a little bit, so we wanted to bring a course that was a little bit more open, a little bit more broad, approaching CS, computer science, from all levels rather than just one specific narrow pathway. It would be a semester-long course. There would be 0 prerequisites for our students, so anybody can jump in and take it. And yeah, it's kind of listed as 4 courses, and you might think, oh, well, freshmen, take the first course, then sophomores, second course, so on and so forth. But the whole structure is completely flexible, so freshmen can take the majority of those courses, sophomores can take the majority of those courses. It just depends on where you want to go. But that being said, this would be the only course without any prerequisites, and it would be accessible to everybody. It would, again, be 1 semester. It will cover topics such as programming, physical computing, web development, design, and data. And it will inspire students as they build their own, websites, apps, games, physical devices, whatever they want to do. So they'll really be dabbling in the field of computer science in a fun way. I also want to mention that as a math teacher, we try to teach problem solving, critical thinking skills, skills that are important to all fields, and it's so hard to do. And I feel like CS, computer science, it achieves it seamlessly. And students gain those skills without even really knowing they're doing that.
Great.
So I have
questions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I saw Python and Java up
Yeah.
there. Where's my Lisp, my C, my Haskell? Come on.
Python, so the blue course you're referring to, that's our intro and advanced. So the blue course you're referring to, that's our intro and advanced coding. That Python is a language that's approachable. We do have Java in APCSA, very technical. We've got JavaScript, which is going to be web development in our orange course up there. So students get to really create amazing things on the web. I don't know. Maybe we can throw some of that in CS Discoveries.
That I know, like COBOL.
What's that?
You mean Fortran?
Yeah, right. I do have some old Fortran books, actually. Yeah.
And then the other question I had is, I know we have a fairly large contingent of ESL, and
Yes.
then identified, and an even bigger group that's not. These are all languages that you really need a fairly decent understanding of just the English language to be developing in this. So, do we have any plan, or are we still developing these courses, and then we'll be looking for that ESL component as an add-on? Because I know, being in that industry, don't have a lot of folks who, English as a second language is not a big thing.
Right.
And part of that is that barrier to entry. So I didn't know if we were looking to address that right away with some of this, or if we were going to come back into that maybe a little later.
It's something that we do have to address immediately, and it's something that we address on a day-to-day basis in our classrooms right now. So yeah, with computer science, we don't have any textbooks or anything like that. I mean, there are textbooks that are written, but they'd be out of date like the following year. So the beauty of that is that we can, change very rapidly. And yeah, those are, I think the ESL component is something that, we create most of our own curriculum. And just being here in this community at Fenton, it's definitely going to be at the forefront. I will say also that CS Discoveries, our template will be run through a program called code.org. They run quite a few different courses, and many times when I've adopted a new course in the past, we would use that as a template, and then we would kind of move on and do our own thing. Now, code.org is incredible at just encompassing everybody and offering all kinds of different lesson plans, different languages, everything. So we will probably have the maximum support with that, but we'll have to, until we get into the day-to-day grind of each and every lesson, I'll have to wait and see what that looks like. But historically, they have had great support through code.org with that, yeah.
Awesome, thank you.
Is it a required class or an elective?
Yeah, this would be an elective course. Actually, so all of these are electives. That's a good question. So the state, a couple years ago, they passed 145 computer science standards in K through 12. About half of them are K through 8. So there are actually computer science standards now at the kindergarten level, which is pretty insane. Kindergartners, like algorithms analysis is like a kindergarten standard now. We're developing an algorithm. So about half of them are at our level, and the state passed a requirement for each high school, I believe it was either for this year or last year, to offer a full year CS course to everybody. But it does seem like they're gearing up possibly in the future to making it a requirement, like many other states have, making CS, computer science, a requirement. The good news is the program we're building, we already hit all the standards, so we wouldn't have to worry about that. So right now, they would just be electives. They would count as math electives. That being said, our AP Computer Science Principles and AP Computer Science A class, those actually can count towards math core credits if a student elects to take those instead of a math core class.
About how many students do you believe would be interested in?
Well, we introduced intro and advanced coding this year, and we had over 140 students sign up for that.
Okay.
So I would anticipate a lot. I've actually had quite a few students already asking about another introductory course, and they don't even know about this yet. So it hasn't been advertised. Yeah.
Well, and Sylvia, I think that's a great question. I think we anticipate it to grow because I think, these are relatively new courses, but word has already gotten out to kids that a lot of kids think they're going to go in and make games, right? Like that's what kids want to do, and then they get in there, and it's like there's a lot of really tough thinking involved, and so the kids know that that I might not be ready for that. What we think is CS Discovery is kids who are like, I just want to, put my toe in this and try it out, and then they're gonna get hooked. So we anticipate those numbers to go up.
Okay.
And I think this will also support our IT courses as well. So we have several of those that have been maybe a little bit dwindling, but like you said, a lot of kids anticipate coming in, I want to program games because I play games. Well, many of them will become really interested in CS, and many won't, and so they might be seeking other avenues, and that avenue might be IT related. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
And one last question: will we need to hire more teachers to teach this?
So you actually, at Fenton, I was hired last year, and then you were able to hire 2 more math/CS teachers. They're both incredible teachers. Most schools struggle finding one, and you have 3 of them. So I think we're in really good shape.
We're in good shape. Yeah, we're excited about it.
Yeah.
With those other IT courses that you were mentioning, that has had some dwindling interest there?
Like the hardware classes and things like that, our enrollment will, one year we'll have it, the next year we won't, so we're hoping that this will remain steadier numbers.
Has there been any investigation into some of the things, like some of the cloud technologies and the various certification processes that could be done to help kind of prepare folks maybe for industry a little earlier?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Michelle talks about that all the time. Michelle Papanicolo is on top of that, along with our applied technology. They're definitely looking into all of those things.
Yeah, I know Amazon and Google were both starting to offer some of those free credits for their intro certifications. So.
Yep, sure.
Those conversations are going on actually on a daily basis between us teachers as well. So, yeah.
Love to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, DJ.
All right, thank you.
All right, for the other side of the brain now, we have High Five Choir. So this is a really awesome course that's being brought forward by our music department, and it is really a combination of, this is music for everyone. So Miss Sarah D. Williams couldn't be here tonight, but she put a video together, and she's going to explain it better than I could.
Good evening. I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person tonight. I am down the hallway in room 900 rehearsing the swing choir as we speak. Many years ago, I went to the Illinois Music Educators Association conference and had the opportunity to see and experience the new Trier High School High Five Choir, and I was instantly inspired and realized very quickly this was something we needed to have here at Fenton High School. choir here at Fenton High School is open to all students with different backgrounds and abilities. Through making music together via singing, instruments, and movement, we will foster relationships, be an agent of change throughout the building, and raise disability awareness. I really appreciate you taking the time and consideration. Have a great night.
So this is a really great elective that would target, obviously, our special needs students and incorporating them with students who are experienced choir students, maybe students who are just interested in choir. The other connection that we can see is students who are on the education pathway. This might be a great experience for our students to begin working with special needs population and getting to know more about that. So we see this being popular with a variety of different students. I think normally we think of choir and we think that there's kind of like the choir type of kid, but this could really be open to a lot of different students who might be interested in this. Any questions about High Five? Our special ed department's really excited about this opportunity. All right, am I gonna get, there we go. Okay, and then our final new course, it's really two new courses, is social studies and a social study, EL social studies electives, Latino studies, and then Latino studies for Spanish speakers. So we have Mr. Alexis Herrera and Mr. Irving Rodriguez, who are going to tell us a little bit about the work they've been doing in developing this course.
Good evening, I'm Alexis Herrera. I'm an EL and Spanish teacher. This is my 5th year here teaching at Fenton. And I'm just gonna go over the course, some of the requirements, and also the students that are gonna be in there. So this course is gonna be a social studies elective that's gonna be offered in Spanish and English. This allows us to really target our students, the background and culture of the majority of the students here at Fenton. Also the course being offered in 2 languages really opens the door for, I think every student that we have here at Fenton High School. As an EL teacher, especially our emergent bilingual learners or EL students, heritage speakers, dual language students who we keep getting more from both Wooddale and Bensonville, and also our AP Spanish students who have been in the program for about 3 or 4 years. This course allows them to take that class in either English or Spanish. If Spanish is their second language, it really allows them to use the language and also learn more about the culture of the language. Lastly, some of the requirements, it's going to be, again, social studies elective, 1 credit, 1 semester, offered to both juniors and seniors, with some requirements in Spanish proficiency as well as teacher recommended.
And that's for both versions of the course, or just for the Spanish version of the course?
So, for example, for the Spanish, if a AP Spanish student wants to take it, that would be if they're up to the level. That could be up to them and also the teacher, yeah. For the English one, it's going to be pretty much open.
Open for pretty much anyone?
Yeah.
11th and 12th graders.
11th and 12th.
Yeah.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Hi. So I'm Irving Rodriguez. I'm the U.S. and World History teacher here at Fenton. This is my 3rd year working here, and I think Alexis mentioned plenty of stuff that is so important about this course, but for the English component or the English version of this class, there is that prerequisite where the only thing that is in fact required is the fact that students will need to complete it or have completed world history first, as our units are really geared towards like a very obviously a historical approach to Latino studies, but it's more so a real exploration of the Latino identity in a way that I think can be explored in a way that the students choose how they want to explore it. So our units, again, are, like I said, very history focused, as it really picks up after the discussion of, ancient civilizations, which again are discussed in world history. We're not really going to focus on that for this class, as we're going to be more focusing on how worlds collide, the independence and revolutions that happen as a result, and then more so the more relevant and current histories of Latinos in the United States. Now, as someone who has been teaching U.S. history, I can really tell when students pay more attention or they really relate to historical events that are more geared towards their identity. Because again, when I'm talking about U.S. history, there's a lot of information that is often skipped or mentioned briefly, especially when talking about histories of minoritized groups. There's really not much time to really include that information on our curriculum. So I think Latino Studies will offer a chance for students to really explore the histories that matters most to them in a way that is meaningful to them, because it's very interactive, it's engaging, as they will be choosing exactly what histories to choose from. We're talking about what a Latino means. Again, we're talking about, I don't know, more than a dozen countries and cultures are attached to that. And as a Latino myself, I can understand, again, the complexities of what it means to be a Latino in the United States, especially when trying to look into their histories. So I think this course will really provide them that window, that opportunity for them to explore their identities and their history in a way that is meaningful to them.
Yeah, and I just want to highlight the work that Alexis and Irving have done. They've been working with Lorenzo Rubio, Michelle Rodriguez, Candace DeMaro, and Laura Avila. And we visited Addison Trail, who currently has a Latino Studies class. Glenbard North also has. So we worked with those two schools, but we are making this class unique to Fenton, right? The first thing that's going to be unique is that we have an offering for Spanish speakers. There are very few classes, very few schools that offer Latino Studies for Spanish speakers, which seems crazy, right? But we're going to be one of the first schools to do that, and we have a profound need for that. The other thing that the group did was we brought in students over the summer to tell us what they wanted in a Latino Studies class. What were some of the topics? They wanted it to be project-based. They wanted to be able to, if they had a Nicaraguan background, they want to be able to explore that. They want to work on current issues. So, I mean, we really got students involved. And these two guys have been working really hard and collaborating with one another, and we're just really excited to have these two parallel courses run, and we think kids are going to love it. So, are there any questions?
Yes. Is this the first and only Latino Studies class?
Yes.
And I like the idea of it being history focused, and I hope that we can continue to move forward with all of our students having the opportunity to have a history focused class.
Absolutely agree. Yep. Any other questions? Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, then this should really be nothing new. We've talked about integrated math, our shift to integrated math 1, 2, and 3. So we're really excited that we're at the point now where next year we are able to ramp up and offer accelerated math 1, math 2, math 3. So we're introducing that suite of classes. And again, you kind of want to think about this as like accelerated English or English 1, right? Or AP US History, US History. So it's taking the concepts from math 1 and 2, math 1, 2, and 3, going deeper, right? Maybe the pace is going to be a little bit different, but it's going to allow us to challenge our students. The other thing that's great about this, and one of the reasons that we moved to integrated math, is it's going to allow students on-ramps, right? What we saw before is that oftentimes students got into that accelerated track, and if you didn't get on it right at the beginning, it was very hard to break into it, right? This is going to allow for more movement, that maybe a student takes math 1, and then by sophomore year, they're ready for accelerated math 2. Right? And so they're going to be able to move up. In the same way, maybe a kid gets on that track and then realizes that's not the track. It's much easier for them to move down. Of course, we want the movement to be up, but you know the reality of that situation. So we're really excited to offer that and be able to offer that track for students who are ready for it, and then launching into pre-AP level classes after that.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
How are these math classes formatted as far as teaching? Is it mostly computer-based, or is it teacher in the front of the classroom teaching it? How are they doing the formatting of this?
So it's a combination. There's some technology, some programs used to support, but we've shifted away from some of the previous models that we used where a lot of kids were experiencing online mostly. We're using CPM curriculum, trying to integrate that, which is a lot of problem-based, students working on real problems, students working collaboratively with one another. There is direct instruction from teacher and direct support, but I think sometimes you think back to a couple years ago, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, where there was a lot of Khan Academy and things like that. That is not what these courses are.
So the accelerated math, like I'm trying to lean on my own history here, so I'm thinking like geometry, trigonometry, pre-calc, calc. Is that what these are here?
Yeah, so I mean, if you take a look at two of the courses that we're retiring, right, are Accelerated Algebra 2 and Accelerated Geometry. So what this does is the idea of integrated math is that it's spiraling and it's incorporating all of those things together, which makes the learning experience for the kids richer. It makes more sense. And also geometry is like also kind of out of place with that, right? And now it's really spiraled into all of it.
And then can you help me understand the social and emotional learning as a part of a mathematics course?
Yeah, I think that's exactly kind of what Julia, as I was saying with CPM, part of this is we want to make sure, part of social and emotional learning is making sure that our kids know how to collaborate with one another and work together effectively. So the curriculum of CPN works with that. It's not just, I think a lot of times we think of like, oh, kids learn that in social studies when they're working on group work, but mathematicians need to have those same skills of being able to collaborate, problem solve, work together, think on their feet. And so that's where that social emotional comes in as far as collaboration skills.
So it's okay, gotcha.
Yep. Any other questions?
And these tie into the like college curriculum?
Absolutely. Yep. Okay, great. So then there were just a couple other current course revisions that I highlighted for you. Most of these are just little tweaks to either prerequisites or changes in the course description. As you'll notice, a lot of these are in our CTE areas. A lot of these were new courses last year, and we're just kind of refining them. Kind of DJ gave the example of like intro to coding and advanced coding. Before we didn't have a prerequisite, and we know that some kids got in there and it was like, this was a little too tough for them. So just saying like, we would prefer that you take CS discoveries before you get in there, or talk to your teacher and get teacher approval. So that's what most of those things are. Academic math and literacy, that is, we talked about that earlier in the year. That was a pilot. It used to be just academic literacy for our freshmen, and now we've added in the component of academic math and literacy for our students who need it the most. So that was a pilot this year. We are making it a thing for next year. Because we're seeing great success already. We'll report on that in a couple months once we have a little bit more data, but already we know that it's working. Same thing with Bison Orange. That's one of our support classes where students weren't getting credit, which wasn't very motivating for them. Now there's a curriculum involved and there's a credit attached to it for kids. And again, we're seeing that that is motivating. Not every single kid, but it's motivating more kids. Any questions on the revisions? All right, and then you have in the board packet electronic course guide. So we did not print that out for you yet. We'll print it out for you next time because we were still making some last minutes. As I said, we pushed it up a little bit, and so there were just a couple kind of like grammatical things that we wanted to fix up. But you have the most up-to-date version. Actually, it's better that you have the link to it. Yep.
What were the updates to the construction trades one?
They tinkered around a little bit with exactly what was in the course. I think that second semester used to be focusing more on, geez, I'd have to check on what it used to be, but the teachers realized they couldn't fit everything in, and so they just took out a unit or two, and so erased that from what was in the course description.
Gotcha. I thought we were going to be sending the students over to help build the science wing. So
no, not yet. That's a good idea, though. We should work that in. Maybe that'll be the change for next year.
There we go.
Good.
All right. Thanks.
Great job, Kate. Just a quick story real quick. It's wonderful to see that Latin Studies has been developed. Before COVID, Kate and I had a conversation saying there was a book we were reading called Latinx Studies, and I'm like, we need this at Fenton, right? We need this at Fenton. Kate says, slow down. Right, he goes, slow down. And now I see after reflection that you really need not just a knowledge base, the students, but also the teachers to teach those courses. And you know, Alex and Irving here are really fit that mold in regards to that. And another thing is, great question, Sylvia, in regards to, hey, look, we have all this great CS classes. I mean, I'm sorry, it was Ken. How about our ESL students? There's a huge push for all of our new hires to get their ESL endorsement, so that we're fighting that barrier, that language barrier battle with students who are immigrants or are just coming here or former ELL to be able to be successful in those courses. Okay.
I'm just glad that's being addressed.
Yep. Financial audit presentation. Bruce?
Okay. All right, McCade Thorpe, our auditor from Lauterbach and Amen, is here. Are you still here, McCade? Okay, good. Thank you, McCade. He's been here, I think this is his third year at Fenton. He's the on-site audit manager, and he will present an overview of the 22-23 fiscal year audit.
Awesome. Thank you, Bruce. Can everybody hear me? Okay, perfect. So like Bruce said, my name's McCade Thorpe. I'm an audit manager from Lauterbach and Amen. Going on my fourth year at Lauterbach and Amen, but before that, my whole life has been in auditing in the public sector, so definitely have seen some things. So before I start, just want to kind of give you an overview of what this presentation is. It's more of a high level to help you walk through this big old booklet here that says the annual financial report. I'm going to touch on the high areas and then move on so we don't get too much in the weeds of accounting and audit mumbo jumbo. If there's any questions, we can address those at the end. And if there's any questions that come up after reading the audit, Bruce has my email, so please reach out to Bruce. All right, so to begin, first off, thank you to the board for allowing us to once again be your auditors. And also thank you to Bruce, Vanessa, and Maggie for helping us with the audit. It's not in their job that they have to help auditors. They still have their day-to-day task. It's an extra stress on them to pull support and answer our questions, which they do in an efficient way, and they always do it with a smile, which is really appreciated. So to start off with, we will go to page 1 in the audit financial book. It's the big one. And this is your audit opinion. The school district, once again, received a modified cash basis opinion. This is a standard opinion. And what this is essentially saying is that through our audit for the June 30th, 2023 fiscal year, we found that the financial statements were free of any material misstatements, and essentially everything is in tip-top shape. Controls are working well, and everything's going well. So to move on then, we'll go to page 5. This is the beginning of your management discussion and analysis, or what we call the MD&A. Essentially, what these pages are, it provides more of a narrative of the past fiscal year. It allows the district to explain why certain amounts increase or decrease in your own words. It also provides more of charts and graphs to kind of help provide more of a visual way rather than hard accounting methodology. So moving on to page 15.
Which page? 15, 1-5.
15. So this is the start of your financial statements. So this is your governmental activities, which is essentially all your funds and takes into account your capital assets too. That provides you the assets, liabilities, and net position. If you flip a page to page 16, once again, this is the governmental activities, but looking at the more of the income statement, so your revenues and expenditures, and it shows you once again the ending net position. If you go to page 17, this is probably what you're more used to seeing. It's a breakdown of the funds from the general, IMRF, and the capital projects, and then the non-major. The non-major and general are further split out in the back of the audit report, but this is more of the general version. And two items to bring to your attention is if you go to page 18, page 19, same format, it's at the fund level, but this is the income statement. You will see specifically for the general fund that the general fund makes up approximately about 61% of the overall funds. And also, as you will see, that if you compare the expenditures by taking out the on-behalf payments, that amount goes to about 30 million, and your ending fund balance is at about 24.6 million. So your fund balance right now is at a healthy 81% of your total expenditures, which is great to see. That's a healthy number to have as of the end of 6/30/23.
Can you define what you mean by a healthy number?
So, well, I always say the fund balance can kind of be looked as your savings account. So you have a savings account. If your car breaks down, you can go into your savings account and you can cover expenses. Let's say, for example, as we saw with some of the counties during COVID, there was a delay in property taxes coming in. So revenue may not be coming in, but expenses are still going to happen, right? So by having that healthy fund balance and covering at least 81%, the district knows that, hey, if something happens at the county level, if for some reason the property taxes aren't coming in on time, they're delayed for X, Y, and Z reasons, we can at least go into the fund balance, pay our expenses, and then wait until property taxes come in. So it kind of acts like a savings and kind of an amount for a rainy day, essentially.
And that's basically like almost 10 months of operating budget, is that right?
Correct, yeah. There's no right or wrong answer with that. It's a board decision with your fund balance policy, but that's typically what we see.
I think the state recommends 3 to 4 months.
Yeah, 3 to 4, yeah.
Yeah, so we're surpassed that.
Yeah, we're like 9.5 months right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep. All right, so moving on. Are there any other questions before I go back in?
Just real quick, if you, not everyone may not know what the on-behalf payments are, if you could just mention that.
Yeah, so the on-behalf payments are essentially, it's an amount that we get from the TRS and THIS from their annual reports that come in. It's a timing amount of what payments are at that time, but the way that we record it is we record it as a revenue and an expense. So you combine those together, those net out to zero. So when we look at the health of the school district, we don't take that into account because it's essentially a net of zero. So, and it's always a pretty high amount. For this one, I think it was about 9 million without looking back.
Yep.
So that would definitely skew things. So we just want to make sure that we're looking at the true operating expenditures. Okay, awesome. So moving on to page 21. So this is the start of the notes to the financial statements. As I mentioned, the management discussion is more of a narrative. This is the hard accounting methodology verbiage, and it's very dense, I will admit. So I'm just going to point out 2 areas. If you turn to page 29, just to show what type of information you'll get. This shows your capital assets. So this shows what the asset management provides to us to detail the assets that the district currently has on hand and what the depreciation is. And then if you flip that page over to page 30, you'll see that there's the long-term debt, which just shows what was paid during the year and what the remaining open balances are. And also you'll see the legal debt margin as well. So like I said, it's more kind of hard numbers in this section, whereas the management and discussion is kind of more of a narrative, more like a storybook. All right, so moving on to page 75, all the way in the back. Okay, so what this page and pages that follow, they go fund by fund. So this is the educational account within the general fund, and you have 4 columns. The first 3 are the original budget, so it was originally sent to ISB. your final budget, if an amended budget was passed during the year, and then it shows your actual revenue and expenditures. So you can go line by line and see where certain areas revenue was higher or certain expenditures were lower. Then also you have a column where you can see prior year's amounts too. So that is it for the annual financial report. Is there any questions I can touch on before moving on to the management letter?
Page 28,
Yes.
didn't say the project or anything that was attached to, but I'm guessing that is our water mitigation project? That's the outflow that we did?
Yes.
Yep.
Yep, that's correct.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, it just wasn't specified in the description there, so I just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
And one other item, apologies, I forgot to bring up, which is also kudos to Bruce and the business office. So we also submit to ISB, the AFR, and a part of that, what we fill out is there's a financial score section, which the district has received a 4, which is the highest score that you can receive. So, which I think Bruce has always been that. All right.
Was there going to be any discussion on the management letter at all?
Yes, that's what I'm moving on to. Yeah, if there's no questions on the annual financial report, we can move on to that. All right. Perfect. So yeah, so real quick, the management letter is essentially just the recommendations that we have for the district to look into. We follow GASB standards, which GASB stands for Government Accounting Standard Board. They provide us best practices that then we relay down to our school districts. So for this year, there were 4 current year recommendations. 2 of them are new GASB standards, and then also 2 of them were new financial policies that we've discussed with Bruce in detail, and we'll work with Bruce and the business office during this next coming fiscal year to address those. The next one is a prior year recommendation that was repeated. Once again, it's a financial policy that we'll work with Bruce. We'll send them templates to look at and potentially put together to propose to the board. And then there was one prior year GASB standard that was implemented during the year. We found that there was no material effects based on the standard to the financial report, and therefore there's no changes. Yeah.
Okay. I'd like to ask a question about the capital asset policy.
Yep.
In your experience, given the fact I think there was like, I don't know, $40 million worth of assets or something, without going back in detail on it, what is a recommended level to actually put, the asset tag or listing an item that you've purchased versus simply, expensing it?
So to answer that, there is no answer. The reason being is that the capital asset policy is 100% up to the board and up to the district to decide. Every school district's different, right? There's schools that have 5 high schools, and then there's schools like Fenton where there's 1 school. So with that said, there's not really a right or wrong answer per se. That's why we highly recommend to have a capital asset policy, because this allows the district to go category by category and to determine what the district and the board feels is appropriate for the threshold to be. An example to use is that your amount for equipment is going to be a lot less than, let's say, a new building addition. Your building addition, you're going to want that pretty high, right? You're not going to want, but your equipment, you really want your equipment at 100,000. Probably not. You probably want to look at to see, okay, what's our typical equipment amount? And I think asset management is the third party. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is it asset management?
Asset control.
Asset control. Thank you. There's so many of them now. Asset control can also assist Bruce in the business office too. But I just want to make sure I'm clear and that there's no right or wrong answer. GASB essentially is saying best practice is to have a policy in place and to look at each category by itself. Along with the thresholds also, you would also want to look at the useful lives. Essentially what useful lives are is that helps determine the depreciation. So for example, we go back to buildings and equipment, right? Building you hope is going to last you 20 plus years. Equipment might last you 5 years. So that's going category by category and seeing which useful life is appropriate for each one. And like I said, we have templates that we can provide to Bruce, and then he can put together, present to the board, and then the board has any questions, he can come back and
Yeah, a couple of
and
years
ask
ago,
us
we
to.
changed the threshold. I think it was $1,500. It might have been as low as $1,000 for equipment, and we've raised that to $5,000. And that was recommended through a combination of our auditors at that time, who was not McCade and asset control. So anything at $5,000 or more is tagged. We also tag equipment that's less than that for insurance purposes.
Okay.
How many categories are there? I mean, like what do you?
Boy,
So
I'm not
for
even
the district,
sure how to answer that.
For the district, it is 3. Site improvements, so it'd be like land improvements, buildings and buildings improvements. So if you get a new roof or you add a new addition, and then furniture, equipment, and vehicles are the 3 categories right now.
Your outstanding check write-off policy?
Yes.
Since we seem to be catching that in bank reconciliation, do we need to go back and look at any of that and then do the proper process to remit that to the state?
So, right now, the procedure is properly being done. GASB standards and recommendation is to have it written out in wording so that if anybody was to come in, Bruce or someone in the business office can say, here's a policy, this is what Fenton District follows, this is what is expected of you to follow. So even though the practice is being done, it's GASB standard just to have it written so it's clear for everyone.
Yeah, I guess the wording there was confusing on me when it was develop and implement. The implement being the key word there. It sounded like we weren't doing it, but I guess we are.
We are, that's kind of a laborious process because we started looking at that, we continue to look at it, but it's not the highest priority on our list because part of it is we think when there was a switchover from our previous software to Skyward, we think some of that information kind of got lost during that transition process because we've looked at that list of outstanding checks and we know that they've been issued, and so we didn't want to reissue a check that we know someone's already paid for. So it didn't clear in the system. So it's kind of a little bit of a clumsy process. So we were reluctant to send the check, state the check, a payment for all of these outstanding checks that we think we were pretty certain that the checks have already been cleared. They just didn't clear in the system.
Well, what you're also saying is people are calling you asking, why for about past due bills.
Right, that's a good point, yeah. We aren't, and if there were, we would certainly
Sure.
resolve that issue.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else?
I think that's it. Thank you, Mr. Thorpe.
So, thank you.
Now we're going from Mr. Thorpe to Dr. Grossi for financial projections.
Good evening, everybody. Oops. Tonight I'm going to share with you a financial analysis that I put together, kind of an independent analysis of the district. It's broken down into two parts. One is a historical analysis of the district's financial situation, and then a projected next 5 years of the district's financial projected situation. So to begin with, historical summary, this graph represents revenues and expenditures, revenues versus expenditures in the district, excluding major capital expenditures. So the zero line means a balanced budget, revenues equal to expenditures. And you could see that from 2017, where the district roughly had a balanced budget, revenues equaling expenditures. The district has incurred annual surpluses and growing surpluses in each of those years. And for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2023, the surplus actually exceeded $5 million, which is perhaps certainly the best performance in recent history for the school district. I do want to point out that the district, being a district that doesn't benefit from the evidence-based funding formula, the district only gets about $2,000 a year in additional revenues from the state in evidence-based funding. This is quite an impressive pattern of surplus growth in the district. And then in addition to that, we have capital expenditures that affect the district. In 2016, the district spent a little over $12 million. That was the completion of the major renovation project that happened right around the middle of about 8 or 10 years ago. That included the central area and things of that sort. Since that time, the district has not committed a lot of investment to its capital projects, and now the district is starting to do that, given the fact that its financial condition has improved. So this is a graph of the district's historical fund balances compared to the 6-month expense reserve level. So the 6-month expense reserve level is the level that you need to be at with the State Board of Education in order to get the highest designation that was referenced earlier for that category. So the district has done you can see that the surpluses have allowed fund balances to grow from a little over $20 million in 2017 to a little over $35 million in 2023. So now let's take a look at the financial forecasts. So the forecasts are driven by assumptions, major assumption revenues. The first one is the most important one. About 78% of the district's revenues come from real estate taxes, so CPI dictates the growth basically in your revenues. Because you're a tax-capped school district, because DuPage County is tax-capped, and all taxing bodies, unless you're a home rule district, are subject to those caps, your revenue could grow, your real estate taxes can grow at the rate of inflation. So that occurred in the previous calendar year. So when the Board of Education considers its tax levy this December, it will be able to access 5%. Inflation right now is trending around 3.4% for the following year's tax levy, and then we're assuming a 2.5% CPI thereafter, which is pretty consistent with historical trends. Corporate personal property taxes, this is money that comes from the state, from corporate taxes that they collect, and they distribute it based off of a 1976 formula. So the money doesn't come straight from the corporations in your community. But over the last couple of years, that revenue source has grown significantly. But then the Illinois Department of Revenue sent a letter to all all entities that received this money, stating that they overpaid, and as a result, they made a correction, reducing everybody's collections by about 29%. So it's going to go down about $1.2 million this year, and then it's projected to be flat thereafter. Interest earnings will go up as fund balances have increased because of the debt certificates, and interest rates are higher. The district is going to be issuing $32 million in debt certificates this fiscal year, and will be using all those monies for the STEM project. The district will receive its final ESSER grant money this fiscal year, which is COVID relief money. And then all other revenues are projected to be flat. The district generally does not receive increased revenues from state and federal sources. On the expense side, the district just settled a nice long contract, which will provide stability and certainty on this, your largest revenue expenditure source. Salaries are projected to increase 6% this year and next year, 5% in 2026, and then 4% annually thereafter. A portion of those increases will be offset by retirements that occurred during this period. Employee benefits are projected to increase 7% in '24 and 4% annually thereafter. Purchase services and supplies are projected to grow essentially at the rate of projected inflation. The district will use $10 million of fund balances during this projection period to pay for the water mitigation project as it committed to the community. And the district will use the $32 million in debt certificates for the STEM wing project. The district will also begin to pay $2.45 million annually in principal and interest payments on these debt certificates beginning in fiscal year 2025. And within these projections are also $500,000 a year of additional capital expenditures, which could include unforeseen expenditures or overruns in your current projects. When you put all those assumptions into a blender, you could see what happens in terms of your annual surplus of the district. So you can see that we are projecting right now that we will have 5 more years of surpluses, revenues exceeding expenditures. Now you could see that the surpluses do decrease, are projected to decrease, but they are still surpluses. The decrease is partially due to the decrease in corporate personal property taxes that I mentioned. In 2026, the $2.4 million debt certificate payments, and then in the later years of the teacher's contract, CPI on your real estate taxes growing at a slower rate. But again, it's a very, if these projections hold true, that would be 11 consecutive years of surpluses, which again, for a Tier 4 school district like yours, a district that doesn't get additional money from the state, and a district that's had to live through very low inflation until last year, it's an incredible accomplishment.
That graph is reflective of the capital project expenses that we're still showing is it reflective of the capital expenses we have?
Yep. You want me to go back to the slide?
No. Those last couple of years.
Oh, yes, yes.
Does it account for that? It's still?
So this is excluding capital. So the capital expenditures we're going to see on the fund balances that I'm going to show in a second. So this is revenues versus expenditures excluding the capital activity. So then when you combine, it leads perfectly into the next slide. When you combine the operational surpluses and then the fact that the district will again use $10 million of reserves for its water mitigation project, you could see that the district is still able to maintain level fund balances. So essentially, just as the district committed when it did obligate itself to using fund balances to fix the water problem, and to begin using annual budgets to help pay for the debt certificates for the secondary project, the projections show that the district is well suited to absorb those activities, and essentially your historical surpluses will have paid for your investment into this facility, which is really a wonderful thing. You haven't had to borrow money and increase taxes in that capacity, and you also haven't lowered your fund balance reserve. You're remaining fiscally strong, and at the same time putting essentially $35 million almost of investment into this building. So that's something, that's kind of the summary story of your financial condition historically and over the next 5 years.
So that graph where from 23 to 24, the $1.2 million decrease in expected revenue surplus, that's the corporate personal property
That's
fix. And then going from 2024 to 2025, that $2.4 million reduction is the beginning of our debt certificate
Yes.
repayments. So if we didn't have those two things, we'd still be tracking a $5 million a year budget surplus, essentially.
Correct.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Sure. Not 5 million, a little less than 5 million because.
But roughly in
Yeah,
that same
right.
4.5 to 5 million range.
Right.
If I just, yeah, thank you.
Any questions?
Rob, I got a facility questions for you. You know our school very well. You know the facilities very well here. There's still many areas of the building in our campus that needs attention and rebuild. What's the best way, if the board decides to move in the direction to continue capital improvements, to finance those improvements?
So I mean, the district is pretty much opened up the toolbox and is using everything at its disposal to improve this facility. You're showing the pipes and, 1950s building and things like that. There will be needs at this school district. And to me, the philosophy of a school board is that you're here not to provide education and services to the kids that are here now, but also to ensure the same quality for their little brothers and sisters and future families that move into the community. So to me, a school district is you try to view it as a perpetual entity. Well, at some point in time, as you're mentioning, there's things that need to be done in this school district. So your district has, with the water mitigation project, with the STEM wing, you're slowly addressing, fixing problems in the building and improving student opportunities for your children, which you so passionately advocate for. The people that live in Fenton should be able to have the same types of services and opportunities as any other school district. So by running surpluses, continuing running surpluses, it puts you in a situation where you may be able to address some projects with fund balance reserves. But I would still say, with the magnitude of probably the long-term needs of the district, and the fact that your district's debt levels are extremely low relative to the size of your district and the size of your community, at some point in time, you may have to reconsider trying to get another referendum passed down the road, maybe at a smaller capacity, since you are addressing some of these with fund balance reserves, in order to finish the job. And then once it's done, that's going to relieve stress on your future operating budgets, which will help the district run surpluses. And now you're running as a financially strong. You're adding programs into the building, as the prior presentation showed, and you're addressing your facilities. You keep addressing your technology, and now everything is current, up to speed, so that you're giving the kids and you've locked in a 5-year contract, which can't be underestimated, because the importance of a quality teacher is the most important asset to a school district. You're doing everything from a long-term lens, and the one thing that's probably still needs to be addressed is the completion of your facility needs and wants. Yes?
Some of that sounds speculative, because what I get out of this so far is clearly within the foreseeable future, there's plenty of surplus to handle any immediate construction's needs.
So first of all, these projections assume $500,000 a year. So there's $2.5 million of projects built into these projections, in addition to the water mitigation and STEM project. And then the question then becomes, which is a really legitimate question: how comfortable are we willing to bring fund balances down? Are we willing to bring it down to 6 months, 5 months, 4 months? Obviously, the healthy fund balance, it's not like you're wasting the money. The healthy fund balances are generating interest earnings to the school district, which is another revenue source, and it provides safety in this uncertain state of Illinois that we live in, that's just in case something happens. But with that being said, I think legitimate conversations can be had, which they have been in the past. with the water mitigation project. How much, the question that was posed to us was, how much fund balance reserve are we comfortable getting rid of? And at the time, Bruce and I said, couldn't we do 10 million? The answer was, we feel comfortable we could do that. Then the next question was, we want to issue these debt certificates, but there's going to be about $2.5 million of annual payments. Can we handle that in our budgets? And Bruce and I again looked at that and did an analysis and said, yeah, we think it could happen, and we do. We still think that in doing that, we could do that and maintain our fund balances. Do we want to go deeper than that? That's a very relevant conversation to have. I would say that a few $1 million here and there can be addressed, but I don't know. It depends on the magnitude of what you want to get done. But certainly a small to moderate portion of capital needs could be addressed, probably with fund balance reserves.
No, Sylvia.
Okay. Now, I just want to know, are there any grants for public schools for?
So I've been working with school districts for over 3 decades, and there's been probably 3 or 4 really nice construction opportunities to encourage school districts to improve their facilities. More than likely, usually they rank them not by need per se, but they rank them by whether the percentage of low-income students you have, where you rank in terms of property wealth, and essentially, at least historically, the types of construction grants that are offered, your district would be ranked very low as far as having a probability of receiving those monies. I mean, obviously, Bruce and whoever will always look to opportunities, but generally speaking, there's nothing on the horizon, and if there was, it's unlikely that there would be enough money to get all the way down to Fenton.
And some of the ESSER money, Sylvia, to answer your question, we have used that towards improvements to the ventilation systems throughout the building. So, so there have been some improvements in that regard with ESSER money, and which was, part of the intention to use it was to improve the air quality in buildings.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, a good example is like the ESSER money that Bruce is talking about. So your district got about a couple $2 billion in ESSER money in total.
Yep.
There's districts that I work with that are of the same size, but our tier 1 is evidence-based funding school districts with high percentage of low incomes that are getting like $15, $20 million. Same size school districts. So they have more. So they've had more state and federal grant opportunities to invest in their facilities. Unfortunately, the way this district is made up, it has to come from local resources because you're not getting any additional money from the state, which is a challenging thing.
We're just doing too well.
That's too bad. If you hear anything, let us know.
Great, yes.
James,
Yes.
you're talking about this, and I'm not going to say we were lucky, but with the flooding situation and now with I'm guessing the insurance is paying for the full remediation and abatement of the asbestos in the auditorium,
front gym.
gymnasium. We're also getting a new floor in there, so that was another area I know we were interested in.
Correct.
What are the other, kind of medium or smaller projects are on your mind?
Medium summer project, family consumer science, our band room.
I was going to say the band and choir room.
Correct.
They're desperately in need of
Absolutely.
something, whatever it is. I don't know, but what they've got now is not.
CTE, I know you're an automotive guy. That needs
he needs some
work
support there too, yeah.
There is, I would say half the building would need some attention. That's why we asked that question. Just real quick, Sylvia, there's been 2 maintenance grants, and Bruce has applied to both of them. We've received one. We're expecting it to receive another one. But those are like 50,000 matching grants.
Yeah.
We need millions.
Yeah. Have we made a wish list in reference to the building?
Yes, we did, because 2019, nothing is by chance. We've been planning on this with Rob, with our architects, with Bruce, and all the administrators here since 2019. Basically, we created a facilities audit with our architects and construction individuals, and we have a wish list. We know our priorities. We know it was the water mitigation. We know it's infrastructure, which is huge. Sprinkling the building, John, is a critical necessities. We have galvanized piping that's rotting. That's why we have a collapsed sewer line in front of the building. So the question is, I think it's a fair question, and I'm glad we're having the discussion. We could always take advantage of Dr. Grossi being here and being up front with us in regards to what happens, when would it, what kind of resources do we have if we need to continue this pace of maintaining, it's not rebuilding, it's maintaining the building, and how do we go about tapping into those resources?
James, I would say that the things that need repair are the things that aren't pretty, right? It's the things you can't see. It's behind the walls. It's
underneath the ground.
Yes, those kinds of things.
It's like getting new tires on your car.
Yeah.
That's right. If you get a pair of nice white walls, that always helps. But the other question I had was, by having the healthy, fund balance in reserve, does that make us more competitive? Do we get better rates if we do look for taking on additional debt obligations?
Yes.
By having that versus only having a 6-month or a 3-month?
The district lines up very well in terms of credit strength, which would provide more comfort to investors, which would generate lower interest rates relative to the market and other school districts.
And what kind of investors are those? Are those private equity or?
No, they would be tax-exempt municipal bonds.
Okay. Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Any other question? Thank you, Dr. Grossi.
Thank you.
Next up, we're going to invite Dr. Batson, a strategic plan, while he's making his way up to the microphone. Just real quick, we present this twice a year to the Board of Education. Our strategic plan, as you know now, we have surpassed strategic plan 1.0, and we are at 2.0. Dr. Batson.
Yes, a couple months ago, we came to this lectern and discussed the completion of our goals and projects for last year's strategic plan objectives. And so we're coming here tonight just to give you an overview of what's planned for this year. Just a recap for those that weren't around in 2018. Strategic plan was developed during the 2018 school year. It provided a series of goals and action plans based on 6 strands that we determined at that point in time. That was a 3-year plan, concluded in 2021, actually carried over a little bit into 2022, the school year 2022. At which time we developed Strategic Plan 2.0 is what we call it. That was developed in 2021, looking forward to the 3 years starting in 2022 through 2025. So we are currently in the 2nd year of that plan. So we have this year and then another year before we look to renew this. But each year we go through, and based on the strands that stay consistent from year to year, we develop goals. And from those goals, the administration and the staff here develop action plans to address those goals and to try to accomplish those goals during the year. Both of these plans were developed with significant input. We had large meetings with community members, board members were here, administrators, staff, and even students. And I think students probably had some of the most interesting input and contributions to the plan. The 6 strands for our current 3-year plan: teaching and learning, social emotional growth, diversity, equity, inclusion, student life, communication, collaboration, and community, and securing the future. Multiple goals exist for each of these strands, and I'm going to go through them, but I'm not going to read them all. There's a lot of them, and they're in your packet there, and you could read through those. But each one of these goals contain action plans within those goals. So we'll talk about that in a moment. So teaching and learning, you can see the goals here. Examples: continue to increase access to post-secondary learning, which is goal 2, including but not limited to AP, dual credit, certification programs. That's a goal, and within that there will be several action items that the team will address to try to accomplish this goal during this year. So these are the 6 goals for teaching and learning. We have another 6 goals for the social emotional growth. And you can see, the example, multi-year action plan, for example, and gather stakeholder to implement. It's really, these are things that we want to accomplish, but the action plans are what allows us to accomplish these. Diversity, equity, inclusion, we have 2 goals. There's no limit or there's no recommended number of goals. Actually, a few of these with 5 and 6 goals, that's quite a bit. But we felt that we wanted to put those out there and really try to address those goals. Student life, this has to do with extracurricular and things that help the student become part of the Fenton family, part of the Bison Nation, if you will. Goal 4, integrate Principals Advisory Committee into student voice groups. So there's ways for the students to give voice and give feedback to Dr. Benson and the administrators in the building. Community collaboration, communication, collaboration, community. This has a lot to do with how we work within the community. Where is he? Mr. Cambick back here is a big component of this and how we communicate and how we work together with the community in partnership. And then securing the future, and this is Bruce's favorite area. This really has to do with financial planning, facilities planning, make sure that what we do in these goals carries us forward and protects us in the future. Just real quick, we have a strategic plan dashboard. This dashboard's actually been in place since Strategic Plan 1.0 went into effect. And on this, if you notice the orange dots or the purple dots, or it goes on down, each one of those are the goals, and it has percentage complete. And if you click on the little icon on the right, you can see the action plans within this. This is an image of the Strategic Plan 2.0 year 1. This was last year's. And if you want to go on, this is on the website. It's linked in several places on the website, on the administration page, on the About Us. And this will tell you all the things that we were able to accomplish this last year. And after this board meeting, probably tomorrow, there's a little box on the right-hand side that'll contain a drop-down, and we'll have, this will sort of go to the background, and the new strategic plan for this year will appear here. Percentages will be kind of low because, we're still early in the year, but this will identify the strategic plan goals and the action plans that are within that. So look forward to seeing that. Questions?
Are we going to be linking? I know that we're getting to that. We're saying, hey, we've hit this. Are we going to also be providing like the evidence of completion through this dashboard, or how will that be communicated?
This dashboard, because we have lots of goals, and then within that, there's even more action plans. It identifies percentage complete, but it really doesn't give specific evidence. Now, we track that. We have a very, very large spreadsheet that we track all this stuff on. But we don't identify specific accomplishments towards those action items. The action items are pretty specific. It's, accomplish X, Y, Z, and if you've 100% completed that, then you've accomplished whatever that was that it said. So they're pretty prescriptive if you look at them. But to answer your question, there's no additional feedback or archive of information or anything that shows how we completed those. It just shows that we did or didn't for that, depending on how far we got.
Just to give you an example, Kent, of an action plan was to run a referendum. That was an action plan, run a fall referendum. We did that, 100%. Another example would do water mitigation, plan on it, and all the process. We check them one by one. The question should be asked is how many action items are there? There are approximately about 82. And each of us, our goal is to hit each one. The strategic plan does not sound attractive, but it is so important. So important. A lot of school districts or organizations take their strategic plan, they put a lot of energy in it and put it in the shelf. We look at this on at least a monthly basis, and we present it to you. The expectation for each of the administrators is to complete their their themes, their goals, their action plan every time we present here at the board meeting.
And doesn't it say like a 50% complete or
Correct.
70% complete or
Correct.
something like that on those?
For example, Rick does food for families. Our goal was 2 per year here at Fenton. Our plan right now is 0%. Our first one will be this winter, and the next one will be sometime in February. There's your 100%. Those are the things that we do.
The other thing to think about in terms of that is, not only are these, they're not just a list of check boxes that, oh, we did this, we did this, we did this. This is really a tool, and yeah, we revisit it monthly, every 6 weeks, whatever, and we talk about it in our administration meetings, whatever, throughout the year. But what it does is it also gives us these goals, and every decision we make, and James says this all the time, where is this on the strategic plan? How does this accomplish something that's in the strategic plan? So a lot of our decision-making, even though we might not be intentionally addressing one of the action plans or one of the goals, we always look to this as a guiding document to help us make decisions.
Thank you for sharing that, because a lot of times when you're setting goals for yourself, you kind of get lazy in it, like, okay, I looked at it, so I put a little check mark there, and I'm speaking from experience. But, thank you for sharing that. It's detailed, you're looking at it, you're, making sure that it's actually something being done about it, and not just checking it off because you read it.
Yeah, and I will also say our goal is not to have 100% in every one of those columns, because at some point in time, we might have gotten halfway through something and we said, it's just not working, we got to do something else.
Yeah.
And so we stop there. Or it's taking longer than we think. This happened a lot during COVID. We had these plans to do something, but then we're remote for 6 months or a year. So we had to push those to the next one. So those wind up being in the next action plans for the next year. So it's, like I say, it's not just a checkbox list of items to do. It's really, a guiding document that helps us do what we do.
Yeah, my question wasn't a critique or whatnot. It was just more of, when this board has moved on to bigger and better things, and James is retired and what have you, was, for future folks to look back and say, they didn't just check all the boxes, like, to make it easier to see that we were not just putting it on the shelf or just, oh, it's the end of the year, check everything and move on. That was more of where that question was coming from.
No, it's a good point. It's a good point.
But I trust that we're doing it, so.
Good. I mean, just another example is Kermesse was on the strategic plan, as well as the Fenton Foundation. So that's critical, as well as improving attendance and MTSS with interventions. So those are just practical examples.
Thank you.
Thank you. We got a couple more. Parent-teacher conference, Sam?
Thank you. This will be very quick, but it was a very successful parent-teacher conference. First off, it was held in the field house. For those that were not able to attend, you can kind of see how the tables are set up in alphabetical order, which the feedback we got from parents especially was this was really convenient. They could see when someone was available. And so there were quite a few walk-ins. We do have a system where through Calendly that people sign up for special appointments. For those parents that like to have it all figured out in an orderly fashion, and then some parents just walked in. So we take them all, and it was a very nice night. Next slide. Overall, we had over 1,200 individual conferences with teachers. So we just feel that's a great number, and we also try to make it accessible for parents that couldn't be here in person. We were able to do it over the phone or a video conference. So we were able to do that also. So we try to make it convenient and accessible for everyone. Any questions?
Next up is FOIA. We received 2 FOIA, one from the Daily Herald and one from the Alumna Data. The Daily Herald, this is throughout due page. We're inquiring about radon testing. And the second one is a request in regards to property and casualty insurance. Both FOIA have been resolved. Any questions on that one? That's all I have.
Thank you. Our next item is consent agenda. Would any of the board members like to remove any items from the consent agenda and vote on it separately?
Yes. I'd like to pull out P cards to be voted on separately.
Okay, the board will vote on P card report separately.
Yeah,
May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented, excluding the P card report?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Not roll call.
Figueroa,
Yes.
Rego,
Yes.
Haid,
Yes.
Kovac,
Yes.
Radzinski,
Yes.
Goodrich,
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes. Motion passed. May I have a motion to approve the P card report as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Do we have any discussion?
Well, perhaps quickly. I just noticed there were some computers purchased on here, but I'm not going to burden the board with that for the time being. So,
No discussion, roll call?
Figueroa,
Yes.
Rego,
Yes.
Haid,
Yes.
Kovac,
Yes.
Radzinski,
yes.
Goodrich,
No.
Lewis.
Yes. Motion passed. Acceptance of the 2022-2023 district financial audit. Does anyone have any questions and or comments regarding the acceptance of the 2022 to 2023 district financial audit?
Yeah. There was the question on the second to last page of our management letter. The amount not in compliance of $99,200. Could we get just a quick line item information on what that is, or?
In the management report?
Yes.
It was what page, Kent? I'm sorry.
It's the second to last one. It is the recommendation, number 4, funds not in compliance with fund balance, net position policy. It's around the transportation fund. I know we discussed this at a previous meeting. I just forgot what it was.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
Purchase?
I-
Was this the purchase or a lease, Bruce?
Yes.
Yes.
Because I remember it
I'm
too.
just- Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
Buses.
I'm
It was
drawing
the
a total.
buses.
It probably had to do with the buses. I can confirm that, but I'm not, I don't recall off the top of my head.
Okay.
But I'll confirm that.
Yeah, I thought we had voted on everything and all that. I was surprised to see that. That was my nature of my question. But it's not going to stop my ability to vote.
May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Figueroa,
Yes.
Rego,
Yes.
Haid,
Yes.
Kovac,
Yes.
Radzinski,
Yes.
Goodrich,
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes. Motion passed. Resolution abating the working cash fund. Does anyone have any questions and or comments regarding the resolution abating the working cash fund?
Yes. I'm looking for a 25-word or less explanation about what this is all about. I don't fully understand it.
Sure. On page 195, there is a write-up on the proposal to abate the working cash fund, a portion of it. When we passed the budget back in September,
Budget 195.
we knew that the Transportation Fund didn't have enough reserves to cover all of their expenses, so,
I know you moved some money.
yeah, well, we didn't move it yet. We can't move it until we have this resolution passed. So this resolution is moving money from working cash, our savings account, internal loan, to transportation to cover the shortfall that we anticipate in the Transportation Fund.
Yeah, I remembered the subject.
And that is included in the budget.
Yeah.
Bruce,
So
have
the
we done-
resolution would,
So you need approval for a journal entry.
yes, in essence, yeah. It's a resolution that would, trigger the journal entry.
All right, got it.
Bruce, have we transferred this in the past?
We have, 2 years ago, we did do another transfer. So we are directing more of the levy. Our recommendation will be to direct more of the levy into the Transportation Fund when we levy for 2023. What happens is it's kind of a balancing act. So you have to figure out which fund is in most need of the levy tax dollars. And so we'll levy less in some other funds and direct more of that into the Transportation Fund to shore up that Transportation Fund shortfall.
May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Figueroa,
Yes.
Rego,
Yes.
Haid,
Yes.
Kovac,
Yes.
Brzezinski,
Yes.
Goodrich,
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes. Motion passed. Approval of the 2024 to 2025 Fenton High School course catalog. Does anyone have any questions or comments regarding the approval of the 2024 to 2025 Fenton High School course catalog?
This was just what you were talking about, right?
Yep.
Okay, the new added classes,
Any
okay.
courses, anything changed? Yep.
Okay.
May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Figueroa,
Yes.
Rego,
Yes.
Haid,
Yes.
Kovac,
Yes.
Brzezinski,
Yes.
Goodrich,
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes. Motion passed. Approval of the bus lane sewer replacement. Does anyone have any questions and/or comments regarding the approval of the bus lane sewer replacement?
Okay, and this is the 118 or so $1,000 we talked about earlier?
Yes.
Okay.
May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Figueroa,
Yes.
Rego,
Yes.
Haid,
Yes.
Kovac,
Yes.
Brzezinski,
Yes.
Goodrich,
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes. Motion passed. Committee reports. Bensenville Community Foundation.
You want to talk this one through, John, or should I?
We only had one item on the agenda for our action, and that was our request for the supplementing of funds to repay all the wonderful hospitality paid to our students, and we were able to get that passed. It was very nice that we had students present as well as staff, and Kent and I was able to wear my both board and my parent hat, and it worked out well. It was very good. Otherwise, it was a fairly short meeting, just the one topic to be addressed, and it passed and we got it. So, positive meeting.
John, how much was that for?
$5,000.
$5,000. Really want to, kind of shout out to the folks that helped us get the students out there, and it was kind of last minute, so, it was a really big deal. The foundation really engaged with the students. I mean, we were given like a 5-minute slot, and about 30 minutes went by with questions, answers, everyone. It was a really great time. So really proud of you guys for showing up and being a part of that, and good to go there. So big thank you to everyone.
Thank you.
Great job.
Great job.
Board DEI Committee?
Well, we hear that October 15, 3 of our board members. 14, I'm sorry. I was a day ahead. It was a payday. 3 of our board members has the training, right?
Yes.
Yeah, unfortunately, we not be able to make it, but next time we're gonna be there.
I will say it was a really great training. It was good to talk to and hear from other board members and folks from other districts and things. So, you know, James, thank you for helping put that together, and it was really good. So
I was impressed there were 2 Kovacs. We were looking for him, like, that's not Kent.
yeah, no, because there's. So I signed in on my one computer, and then that wasn't working, so I came in on my phone, and then I couldn't get signed off of the Zoom or whatever it was on my other computer, so I ended up having both in there. I felt kind of bad because there was like one person who I think got a silent Kovac, so
But it counts as
very
one,
unusual.
right?
I know.
You don't get 2 extra.
I don't get 2 points. I already checked. No.
Board Finance and Facilities Committee. Talked about earlier the early meeting, of course. We went through NetSec, had a rundown of their services that they provide to the district. Went to a rundown of our financial projections. The Arbor contract, which is expiring, that was discussed. Yeah. The collapsed sewer line we just voted on. There's an improvement by door 2 to improve the drainage over there. And then we had a rundown of the P-card system. Board Policy Committee.
Meeting next month, right?
Yeah.
Excited for that. It'll be good. Hey, I love a good policy.
It's your favorite.
Oh, yeah.
IASB delegate. We have a upcoming meeting on October 31st, which is pretty much a pre-meeting to discuss what we're going to do at the November 17th to the 19th meeting. That's a virtual meeting. But each of the board members were emailed, as well as there's a hard copy of the 2023 resolutions that will be voted on at that meeting. Board members, if you could, read through the second to the last page in here. And this is all available online, right? Through the link, yes. If you could, once you read through it, when you check these off, you could email them to James and I'll get it. So I can have your opinion on which way to vote on the 18th. Lynn?
Nothing to report. Next Lynn meeting is...
Hold on.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
The one that was bothering me when I looked at it was the suicide prevention education.
What page is taken?
That is on page 14, the do not present. It's an interesting one there because it's saying that suicide prevention is important, but they don't feel that advocating for gun storage should be part of that language, yet we do have an obligation now, I believe, coming in through our policies that we have to talk about safe gun handling in the home. So it just seems a little odd to not reference that when talking about this, when this is a component of that. So it would be interesting to get some more debate around that, Carrie, during that, because it seems like we're kind of speaking out of both sides of our mouth. We have to do it. We said that it's important. Oh, but you can't talk about it here. It doesn't make sense to me. So just something for you to think about and hopefully can get some discussion around.
Why does it say do not present over these four? What does that mean?
Those are the suggestions.
That's, yeah.
They will not present this at the delegate meeting.
That's what IASB suggests.
So, go ahead, Julia. I'm
No,
sorry.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
No, I just said that's what their suggestion is, but we as a board can vote in whatever way that we decide. That is why would like our opinion so that he knows how to vote, which way to vote.
Kent was, another way to do it is Kent would, the way I understood it, Kent, and correct me if I'm right, you would like Carrie to talk to the resolution committee and just discuss this, the topic about suicide. Hey, look, it seems like this should be something that we need discussion.
My concern is that it kind of goes, by putting it this way, it puts the onus on then saying, you know, the opposite effect of, okay, when we're talking about this, we can't talk about suicide prevention either, right? By saying, we don't want to do this because we don't want to tie it together. We can't talk about gun control in the context of suicide safety. Does that also then implicitly mean that we shouldn't be talking about suicides, you know, issues or what have you during the gun control, you know, mandate that we now have to have, you know, as a part of our curriculum? So that was the kind of the push on that intent for that question. So.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
NetSec?
Just to reiterate real quick, yep, I'm sorry, Lynn. Nothing to report. Our next meeting is this Friday.
NetSec?
We had a meeting back in October 16, and more or less it was the discussions about this staff enrollment, the program of service update, the financial monthly report, and more or less it was the transitions from the director. So Ted is, I believe, is brand new. So I believe it's a third month or 4 months on the job.
Yes.
But he's doing a terrific job.
Yes.
Our next board meeting is Wednesday, November 15th, 2023, at 7 p.m. with a tentative Finance Facilities Committee meeting scheduled prior to the regular meeting at 6 p.m. May I have a motion and a second to go into closed session for the following? School Code 5, Illinois CS 120/2C1. The appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of Fenton High School District 100. B, 5 Illinois CS 120/2C9, student disciplinary cases.
Need a motion?
Yes.
Second.
Roll call?
Figueroa?
Yes.
Rego?
Yes.
Page? Yes. Kovac?
Yes.
Radzinski?
Yes.
Goodrich?
Yes.
Lewis?
Yes. Adjourn.
Do you have to make special notes that the